7 Stacks sent me this slap, and I'm going to be putting that on the dashboard of my truck. Make room for it somewhere. I already opened this. I can't fool you guys. It's snowing just lightly, but that's good. I'm so tired of the heat and humidity that we had right up into October. Bring it on. Stories of your life and others. Ted Chiang. We already did this one. Hey, Mac. Getting snow on you, Mac? Yeah. This is a story that will blow your mind. The Tower of Babylon. Were the tower to be laid down across the plain of Shinar, it would be 2 days' journey to walk from one end to the other. While the tower stands, it takes a full month and a half to climb from its base to the summit, if a man walks unburdened. But few men climb the tower with empty hands. The pace of most men is slowed by the cart of bricks that they pull behind them. 4 months pass between the day a brick is loaded into a cart and the day it is taken off to form part of the tower. Hilalum had spent his life in Elam, and he knew Babylon only as a buyer of Elam's copper. The copper ingots were carried on boats that traveled down the Quran to the lower sea, heading for the Euphrates. Hilalum and the other miners traveled overland alongside a merchant's caravan. They walked along a dusty path leading down from the plateau and across the plains to the green fields, sectioned by canals and dikes. Where was I? None of them had seen the tower before. It became visible when they were still leagues away. Easy, Mac, you're gonna scratch me. Easy. It became visible when they were still leagues away, as thin as a line, as a strand of flax, wavering in the shimmering air, rising up from the crust of mud that was Babylon itself. As they drew closer, the crust grew into the mighty city. The mighty city walls. But all they saw was the tower. When they did lower their gazes to the level of the river plain, they saw the marks the tower had made outside the city. The Euphrates itself now flowed at the bottom of a wide, sunken bed, dug to provide clay for bricks. To the south of the city could be seen rows upon rows of kilns, no longer burning. As they approached the city gates, the tower appeared more massive than anything Hilalum had ever imagined. A single column that must have been as large around as an entire temple, yet rising so high that it shrank into invisibility. All of them walked with their heads tilted back, squinting in the sun. Hilalum's friend, Nani, prodded him with an elbow, awestruck. We're to climb that? To the top? Going up to dig, it seems unnatural. The miners reached the central gate in the western wall where another caravan was leaving. While they crowded forward into the narrow strip of shade provided by the wall, their foreman, Beli, shouted to the gatekeepers who stood atop the gate towers, "We are the miners, summoned from the land of Elam." The gatekeepers were delighted. One called back, "You are the ones who are to dig through the vault of heaven?" "We are." The entire city was celebrating. The festival had begun 8 days ago, when the last of the bricks were sent on their way and would last 2 more. Every day and night, the city rejoiced, danced, feasted. Along with the bricklayers were the cart pullers, men whose legs were roped with muscle from climbing the tower. Each morning a crew began its ascent, then climbed for 4 days, transferred their loads to the next crew of pullers, and returned to the city with empty carts on the 5th. A chain of such crews led all the way to the top of the tower, but only the bottommost celebrated with the city. For those who lived upon the tower, enough wine and meat had been sent up earlier to allow a feast to extend up the entire pillar. In the evening, Hilalum and the other Elamite miners sat upon clay stools before a long table laden with food. One table among many laid out in the city square. The miners spoke with the pullers, asking about the tower. Nani said, "Someone told me that the bricklayers who work at the top of the tower wail and tear their hair when a brick is dropped, because it will take 4 months to replace. But no one takes notice when a man falls to his death. Is that true?" One of the more talkative pullers, Lugatum, shook his head. "Oh, no, that's only a story. There's a continuous caravan of bricks going up the tower. Thousands of bricks reach the top each day. The loss of a single brick means nothing to the bricklayers." He leaned over to them. "However, there's something they value more than a man's life." A trowel. Why a trowel? If a bricklayer drops his trowel, he can do no work until a new one is brought up. For months he cannot earn the food that he eats, so he must go into debt. The loss of a trowel is cause for much wailing, but if a man falls and his trowel remains, men are secretly relieved. The next one to drop his trowel can pick up the extra one and continue working without incurring debt. Hilalum was appalled, and for a frantic moment he tried to count how many picks the miners had brought. Then he realized, this cannot be true. Why not have spare trowels brought up? Their weight would be nothing against all the bricks that go up there. And surely the loss of a man means serious delay, unless they have an extra man at the top who is skilled at bricklaying. Without such a man, they must wait for another one to climb from the bottom. All of the pullers roared with laughter. "We cannot fool this one," Lugatum said with much amusement. He turned to Hilalum. "So you'll begin your climb once the festival is over?" Hilalum drank from a bowl of beer. "Yes, I've heard that we'll be joined by miners from a western land, but I haven't seen them. Do you know of them?" And we will leave it there for now. Ted Chiang's story, The Tower of Babylon.